Okay, well, good Wednesday evening or Wednesday night, New York Jet fans and NFL fans. It is January 22nd, 2025, 8:54 p.m., and the New York Jets have their 22nd head coach in their history. Um, Former defensive back Aaron Glenn, who has just left the Detroit Lions after a playoff loss on Saturday against Washington Commanders, accepted an offer made by the New York Jets this afternoon. This was his second interview with the Jets yesterday. He met with them virtually during the postseason, and then after his Lions were bounced out of the playoffs on Saturday, he was able to meet them in person yesterday. There was some concern where uh, they Aaron Glenn left the building without a deal in place or without an agreement. Um, there was talk today. If he goes to see the Saints later on today, which I think he was going to go today or tomorrow, there may be a little bit more concern. The one thing that kept me positive was he took Woody Johnson's plane to and from Detroit to do this interview. Um, excuse me. You would think if he wasn't going to take this job, he wouldn't have flown back on Woody's plane. He probably would have made arrangements to go directly to New Orleans to visit the Saints. But it was announced this afternoon that it was just preliminary. He wanted to get to back to Detroit. I don't know if he wanted to, talk with his family, with his wife, but a deal is in place. He is the new head coach of the New York Jets. And since Bill Parcells, okay, since the 2000 season, um, he again is another defensive coach or coordinator that has been hired by the New York Jets to be their head coach. The only exception when we hired, when I say the Jets hired an offensive coach, um, and that was an offensive coach who was a head coach, also interim for the Dolphins. That was Adam Gase. So we know how that turned out. So after Bill Parcells, you had the whole Belichick debacle, but you had Al Groh, who was a defensive coach. You had Herm Edwards, who was a defensive coach. You had Eric Mangini, who was a defensive coach. You had Rex Ryan, who was a defensive coach. You had Todd Bowles, who was a defensive coach. Then you had Adam Gase in between there, and then Rob Sala, Ulbrich. So again, listen, I said this all along throughout the process, throughout the year when I knew Ulbrich was not going to be the head coach afterwards. When he was just interim, I wanted a head coach with experience, a head coach that was a head coach at another team. I really thought, in my heart of hearts, Rex Ryan had this job, and not for any reason other than the way he campaigned throughout that. I guess it was November, December period when he'd go on the radio, when he was on other TV shows. I thought he had an inside advantage. I thought he had some maybe, and I don't want to say inside information, but he was talking to Woody Johnson about the whole, program that he wanted to instill. Then Woody and the Jets, of course, hired the 33rd team or the 33 team, whatever I forgot what they called, which was Mike Tannenbaum, who also was a GM for Rex when Rex was here. I really thought that there was going to be a Rex reunion. Um, when he did his interview, and that was after Vrabel had the interview, and then Vrabel went to the Patriots, I really thought they were going to pounce on hiring Rex. Am I disappointed? Listen, I don't care who our head coach is, as long as he can get the job done. Um, I even, not that I thought Adam Gase was going to be great at all, but I tried to get on his bandwagon. I tried to look and see his background and the Peyton Manning thing and whatnot. So I support the team. Um, I am getting hyped about Aaron Glenn being the head coach. He turned around that Detroit um, defense. He said some things that make me feel like he is he is not just a coordinator, and he said something like that. He says, "I'm not a defensive coach. I'm not an offensive coach. I'm a coach. I'm an NFL coach. I'm a head coach. I could read. I could coach the defense. Obviously, he could read an offense because he has to prepare for an offense. He looks like a no excuses No BS type of guy. Um, so far, he has the support of a lot of people. First of all, just um, his players. Okay, so now they're his players, and no more Robert Sala players, and no more Joe Douglas players, and no more Jeff Ulbrich players. These are Aaron Glenn's players. So you had Quinton Williams, who put up something on Instagram. You had Jermaine Johnson, who was dearly missed this year on defense, putting him up. Sauce Gardner. You have Aaron Glenn come in. He was, I don't want to say he was Revis before Revis, but he was one of our best defensive backs prior to Darrelle Revis coming here. Does he rejuvenate Sauce Gardner, who had that junior year slump? I mean, it was his junior year. Last year he was good. Freshman year, his rookie year, he was good. Does he rejuvenate that? Keyshawn Johnson, who campaigned for Aaron Glenn a few times and said if the Jets do it, they're going to get it right. Um, you had, I'm trying to think who else. Victor Green, who played with Aaron Glenn, and I think I mentioned this in a past video. I took a picture years ago. I was at the game with then my girlfriend, who's my wife now. 1997, I want to say it was either October or November, and it was Jets Patriots. Um, it was Parcells' first year with the Jets. Pete Carroll was the coach of the Patriots. The Jets wound up winning the game. Neil O'Donnell was pulled for Glenn Foley. But prior to the game, my seats in the end zone, I was down there taking pictures. I had this big lens, and I had Aaron Glenn and Victor Green kneeling, saying a prayer on the goal line before the game. I posted that like 2 weeks ago on Twitter and said, "Is this our head coach and possibly our new DB coach or new, whatever?" And Victor Green retweeted that and said something to the fact like, "Hope Aaron gets this job," and it kind of it did go viral, but it was retweeted many times. A few other people who follow the team and report on the team reposted it. So I can see Victor Green, who had a beautiful post on Facebook and on Twitter today, I believe, and on Instagram, being part of the organization in a more, you know, higher level than he has been. Ray Mickens said something today. Um, Bill Parcells. So Bill Parcells inherited Aaron Glenn in '97. Glenn was drafted in '94 by the Jets. And a few things that stand out with Aaron Glenn for me. Okay. I remember Aaron Glenn's rookie season. Um, Ronnie Lott was back there with him, and we were playing the Chargers. It was the last game of the season. San Diego was on its way to the Super Bowl. I think they were 14-2 that year. I forgot what their record was, but they came into, back then the old Meadowlands Stadium. I won't call it that name, and Bobby Humphrey just went this deep, deep pass, and Glenn got beat. And I remember, Ronnie Lott after the game saying, just a miscommunication, the kid's going to learn, or what have you. Um, the fake spike game, if you look at the fake spike, Aaron Glenn, yes, was the guy who was beat on that fake, play. Him and Paul Frazier, the only two players that actually react to the snap of the ball. Frazier reacted on the snap. I think Aaron Glenn didn't realize it, and there was that one hesitation. Um, but also, I watched Aaron Glenn on TV. I believe in his 1-15 season, pick off Dan Marino for a 100-yard interception return for a touchdown. Um, I see them pick off Brady. I see them pick off Bledsoe. So Aaron Glenn was a very good defensive player. We lost him to the expansion draft to the Houston Texans. Um, but Aaron Glenn I always liked. Bill Parcells, like I said, who inherited him, and Aaron Glenn, who went from '94 when he was drafted to a 3-13 year, and then a 1-15 year. Went one game prior to the playoffs, one game less than the playoffs in '97, AFC Championship game in '98. They came close again in '99. So he is a good player. Has proven to be a good defensive coach. He had the Lions, really disciplined and playing well. Was Saturday an anomaly? I don't know, because Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator, was our coach as well in that divisional game against the Redskins. So Aaron Glenn takes over. Like I said, Bill Parcells Had high praises for Aaron Glenn. Was talking about a player, talking about it being not rude or impolite, but aggressive and knowing what he wants and being transparent, being truthful. And that's coming from Bill Parcells, who, in my mind, basically wants to forget everything that happened with the Jets. Um, and he's proven that with that Bill and Bill series and what have you. Had some great words for Aaron Glenn. Um, you know, and Aaron Glenn went through every step you can imagine. So he was a player, he was a scout, he was, on a coaching staff, and then he became a coordinator. He did have a statement today, and I want to read the statement, so I want to get it right. Okay, so here is the quote from Aaron Glenn, and Harrison Glazer tweeted this. This has been retweeted a few times. I don't know who originally posted this, but from Aaron Glenn, quoted, "To our fans, simply put, expect a winning team that you'll be proud of." So what Aaron Glenn is inheriting is a few things. First and foremost, in front of us as Jet fans, um, the team itself, the organization, the media, the NFL knows this, have not had a postseason appearance since the 2010 season. That is 14 seasons. Okay, have not won a division title in 22 seasons. Last time they won a division title was 2002 when they beat the Green Bay Packers on Week 17. Uh, have been to, let's see, won the Mud Bowl, 98, um, 09, and 2010. So four AFC Championship games since they won the Super Bowl. So he has his work cut out for him just to get a new culture in the building. Um, what I liked about Rex was Rex came in and again, I'm not comparing them, but Rex came in to change the culture, and Rex did the play like a Jet. Rex did that. You take one of ours out, we take two of yours out. I didn't come here to bow down to Belichick and kiss Brady's rings. He basically came in here and said, that mentality is going to stop. So now I don't know what Aaron's going to say with his press conference. They didn't even release the date of his press conference. But listening to the radio today and listening to some clips, they all said he has to nail a press conference. I think he will. The Jets already released a coming home video with him being drafted, with him as a player, with him as a coach. Anthony Beck posted something. Michael Carter II had a locked in emoji. So the team right now is rallying around Aaron Glenn. I think they're yearning for a change in culture, and it starts in the locker room. And somebody said today, Aaron Glenn was in that locker room. He was in that locker room when he was 1-15. He was in that locker room when they were 12-4 going to the AFC Championship game. He knows what it's like to play here in New York. He's dealt with New York media. This time he's going to be a little bit more on the spotlight, on the stage with the spotlight on him. The other thing he has in front of him is Aaron Rodgers. So, you know, can it be the Aaron and Aaron show for the Jets? Now, Michael Kay, and I'm going to give credit to him yesterday, said something like, you had Aaron Judge and Aaron Boone, you had the Aaron show with the Yankees. Can you have the Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Glenn show? I don't know what Rodgers' um, thoughts are in the future. Some people say he's leaning towards retiring. Some people say he's leaning towards staying with the Jets. Some people say he's leaning towards going to another team that's a contender. I don't know. Uh, my thing is, here is the deal. Um, if you could tell me who out there is a better option as a quarterback right now with the Jets or for the Jets, other than Aaron Glenn, tell me. Um, Obviously, he did not play, the very best, but his touchdown to interception ratios were very good. He had some drop passes. He was injured. He got beat up early on in the season. There was some miscommunications on his part as well. So that is the first thing. Do you run it back with Aaron Rodgers? I think that's what's going to happen, unless Aaron Glenn does not want him there and he has another option in his head. Now, rumor about offensive coordinator is Mark Brunell. And Mark Brunell, of course, was with the Jaguars, and he was with the Jets. He was the backup to Mark Sanchez in the 2010 season, I believe. I don't know about any other season, but I remember in Hard Knocks, he was a great mentor to Mark Sanchez. So Brunell coming in as an offense coordinator could be very good if the Jets do go with a younger quarterback or even have Aaron Rodgers. I think what Rodgers needs to do is he's going to have to learn a different system because, Nathaniel Hackett and the other play callers just not going to cut it. They just didn't seem to get it. The other issue is now with Aaron Rodgers. You know, if the Jets cut him, I think it's like a $40 million plus cap hit and dead cap space. So that could be another issue that's looked at. And there is this drama of Garrett Wilson not getting along with Aaron Rodgers. So does Garrett Wilson push the hand and say, I want to trade if Aaron Rodgers stays? Does Garrett Wilson say, you know what, I'm going into my fourth year of my rookie contract. Let's see what I can do. One more year with this guy. Um, there's a lot of what ifs. Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams said something like, if Rodgers doesn't come back, he may come back to the Jets as well, but he's not sure yet. There's a lot of question marks on this team. We still don't have a GM yet. Okay, so there is, I really we checked off one box today, and that is to get Aaron Glenn to be our head coach. It seemed like after the Vrabel thing, that's what they were looking at. They were looking at Aaron Glenn, and basically we have him now. Again, what he did as a defensive coordinator may not equate to being a head coach. It may. Belichick was a defensive coordinator for many years. If you remember, I was watching some documentary on the Cleveland Browns, and yes, he had, I think, one or two winning seasons with the Browns before they moved to Baltimore and they got rid of the whole staff. But he was putting together a great staff. So he did that, and then he went back to the Giants, and then, of course, I'm sorry, and then he went to the Jets, and and New England. So, under Parcells, and then he was the head coach of the Patriots, for 20 something years. So everybody starts off as a coordinator. Everybody starts off as an assistant, and they're all given head coaching jobs. I would have liked, I said earlier in the beginning of the video, I liked a head coach with head coaching experience. When they interviewed Steve Spagnuolo, I thought that may be a way to go. But I'm learning to accept, not accept, but even jump on board now with Aaron Glenn. Like I said, that is one checkbox. We still have to have a GM put in place. We still have to have a coaching staff put in place. Another rumor was Mike Westhoff coming out of retirement to come back to the Jets. Now, he was with Denver through, I guess, a few weeks of the season. Then he left for personal health reasons. First of all, I loved Mike Westhoff. I thought after Rex got fired, he would be the head coach. I thought after Mangini got fired, he would have been the head coach. I actually got to meet Coach Westhoff at the Hall of Fame, and if you ask my wife and my daughters, they said I was just starstruck. And I have met everybody from Joe Namath to Joe Klecko to Pete Carroll to you name it. I've met other superstars, baseball, football, hockey, what have you. And I just was starstruck with him just because of his resume and the person he is. So I would love to have him back on the Jets because Lord knows our special teams needed it this year. And then you have your defensive coordinator that has to come in. Again, Brunell is a rumor, but offensive coordinator. and then the program, and then you're looking at who you're keeping, who you're signing, who you're drafting. So today was a good thing. A lot of people, and I'm going to laugh at this. There was two things on Twitter that I found hysterical. The first one was how everybody was jumping off the bandwagon in October, November, December. I'm not watching this team. I'm not going to spend any more money on this team. Blah 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 blah. And what I don't understand is you can have your gripes about players, coaches, management, stadium, whatever you want. I mean, that's your choice. But back in August, when Aaron Rodgers says, I'm 100%, back in week 3, when we're 2-1 and beat up on the Patriots, were you happy? When we lost to Denver by a 50-yard field goal, and you said, you know what, we'll beat them. We'll get back, not knowing that Denver was going to make the playoffs later on. Okay? You were all happy. And then Salah got fired. This one got hurt. That one missed a tackle. And all of a sudden it was, I'm not doing anything with this team. And then today, Aaron Glenn is signed as a head coach, and it's announced, and everybody's back on the bandwagon. And listen, you want to be a fan, whether it's, a bandwagon fan, a diehard fan, a casual fan, whatever, I don't care. But I just find it funny. For over 40-something years, I lived and died with this team. Um, you know, in the rain, in the wind, in the cold, in the blazing heat. Um, watching them put Trevor Simeon in as a quarterback, watching Vance Joseph, uh, you know, um, in a Raider game on a Sunday night, the butt fumble, which I still blame Mark Sanchez for. He was running for his life. The Sanchez getting hurt in the preseason, whatever, and you just go with, I hope that this is the year, and that's all you can do. The other thing I found funny was they always say, well, the Jets never, the Jets always go on a whim. The Jets fly by night. They need to really put some thought into this. So they did. They went out and they hired this 33 team or 33rd team, whatever the hell it's called, and they had a committee and they pulled in GMs to interview. They pulled in multiple coaches to interview. This has been going on. I mean, the season ended 3 weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago. So it's not that far off. The Bears just hired a coach yesterday. The Jaguars didn't hire anybody yet. The Raiders haven't hired anybody yet. But everybody's on. Why did Jets interviewing all these people? And now they did their due diligence. Okay, and they got Aaron Glenn. Okay, now some people say they did all this to get Aaron Glenn. Well, you know what? You know, maybe the due diligence showed they didn't like what Spagnuolo had to say. They didn't like what Rex had to say. They didn't like what you know. I don't even know who else they brought in had to say. They like what Aaron Glenn had to say. Aaron Glenn has been said to tell people that being the head coach of the Jets has been his dream job prior to all of this. So I think you have somebody that wants to come back here. He was here as a player, here as a scout. He worked for Woody Johnson as a scout, and now he's the head coach. He's back. I thought it would be a reunion with Rex. It's going to be a reunion with Aaron Glenn. He has my full support. He has the family's full support. We're very happy. We're very happy to see Sauce Gardner and Quinnen and Jermaine Johnson and all of them put up tweets and put up, you know, um, you know, good words and best wishes to their incoming coach. So listen, we're not playing on championship weekend, but the Jets clicked off a box today. They got their head coach. That's step one. Step two, I think you'll find probably by Monday we'll have a GM. I'm calling. Um, you know, and then after that is when the coaching staff will be put together. I could see Aaron Glenn having a great press conference Even when they said on the radio today, I was listening to some clips. They're giving clips on Instagram and TikTok from the local radio stations. You know, he's going to come back here. Who knows the hometown guys? Vinny Testaverde, Wayne Corbett, guys that live in the area. I believe Anthony Beck lives in the area. Come back, show support. Victor Green will be there. Even Kerry Rhodes wrote something about Aaron Glenn today as well. So it should be a good uh, press conference. I'm looking forward to when they announce it and watching it. Of course, we'll have commentary on it. And they went back to the old logo, the legacy logo this year, and now they're going back to one of the legacy players. It'd be wonderful to see more of the legacy players part of the team. On game day, when you go to game day, I've seen Corbett. Anthony Beck does the play-by-play. Of course, you have Marty Lyons, who's part of the team. Um, Vinny Testaverde walks around. Victor Green goes to the games. Tony Richardson. So, it's nice. I think the Jets got it right. Now, they gave him a 5-year coaching deal. Okay, I believe Saleh had a 4-year deal, and I think Joe Douglas had a 5 or 6 year, a 5-year GM deal. I'm not sure. To me, a 5-year deal means this. This year, you put your team together, you improve. Okay, if you're doing it with a rookie quarterback, you're just trying to develop him. Washington has shown you can use a rookie quarterback and go deep, but you want to improve on your 5 wins. If Aaron Rodgers is there or another veteran who's capable of carrying this team, playoffs. Following year, further step, and then by the third year, we should be where we want to be. Okay, that's the way I look at a 5-year deal. Because at that midway point of your deal, if you're not at the top and you're still trying to climb, you're not going to get there before your contract year. So you're watching The Takeoff. My name is Alex. Subscribe to us on YouTube. The Takeoff is the name of the account. The Jets Takeoff is the channel. You can tweet us or follow us on Twitter at the Jets Takeoff as our Twitter account. You can email us at the Jets Takeoff. I should say the Jets Takeoff at gmail.com. Listen, let me know how you feel. Put some comments here. Subscribe, reshare, retweet, whatever you want to do. I think it's a good day. I think we took a step in the right direction. And we're now automatically done with the Joe Douglas, Robert Saleh regime. That's it. Now it's official. Okay, new head coach is in place. Have a great rest of your week. Have a great week, a blessed week, however you say it. Enjoy your championship weekend and stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll talk soon.